Hello, guys. It is your girl, Miss K Moore. Oh my gosh, I'm sure you guys will probably wonder, like, what is going on? This is a rebirth. This is Miss K Moore's reinventing herself for you guys. And I hope you guys receive and understand the reason why I'm here. I'm not only here to tell my story, but I'm here to tell my story hoping that it heals and changes something in you. And yeah, that's how we're gonna do it. And tell me if it's your first time seeing me. I am Miss K Moore. I am a 37-year-old mother who is just trying to heal her inner child and using her experiences to try and change the not the world maybe, but yeah, Um so Chami, this podcast, welcome to our new podcast. We're doing this together, we're going to move together, we're going to cry together, but most importantly we are going to heal together and we are going to stay in prayer together. Welcome to my 20s diaries. I think in one of my videos I did explain what my 20s diaries are about, but if you missed that, I am going to explain to you what 20s diaries are. 20s diaries is my baby. This is me pouring out, and this is crying out loud to say this is how I spend my 20s. And looking back at it, I'm not proud of how I spent my 20s. Looking back at my 20s, I was supposed to have done better. I I learned that a woman's base, a woman's foundation lies in her 20s. You know, because I was reckless with how I spent my 20s, that is why I'm here with you guys, and that is the reason why um, I'm having so many breakdowns and struggling to get through, and that is why in my 30s I look miserable, but we'll get into that bit by bit. So, Chomi, I hope this changes something new. I hope this heals something in you. And more than anything, I hope you find comfort in those mistakes, knowing that if you had known better, you would have definitely done better. So, on this particular episode, I'm not going to talk about my childhood. I think that would be story for another day, episode for another day, but we're not gonna do that anytime soon. And our second episode, I will be answering your questions. And then the third one, I will interview you guys. I would have one or two people in studio, so we heal. So we hear them out and learn from them as well. The podcast is just not going to be about me or just be centered around me. Okay. So, like I said, I'm a 37-year-old single mother. Um, and these are my 20s diaries. Um, I'm going to start from the age of 20. To me, by the age of 20, that's when I would say my life started, and looking back at it, I didn't have it all figured out, but I thought I did. Um, at the age of 20, I met or I introduced myself to what I thought was love. At the age of 20 was the first time I dated. At the age of 20 was when I opened myself to loving a man and being open to a man loving me, even though it did not end well. Um, at the age of 20, I needed validation so much. I was desperate. I sought validation so much. I was desperate to feel relevant. I was desperate to feel valid, and yeah, I think a lot of you would relate. And now I realize that it is what you guys are going through. And I hope our 20s diaries helps you, and if you're a young girly, I want you to listen to this, okay? So we are going to start. But more than anything, I'm gonna roll how we roll and say, Chomi, if you are in your 20s, come here. Chomi, if you are a 20-year-old girly, I want you to listen to me, and I want you to listen to me attentively. Don't waste your 20s. Don't waste your life. Do not, and I mean, do not waste your 20s just like I wasted my 20s. My 20s were painful and my 20s were beautiful. The painful side of my 20s goes back to my childhood that I don't want to talk about. You know, I would never, and I still don't know the type of child I would have been if I did not experience the things that I experienced in my childhood. I choose not to beat myself much about the things that happened to me, even though they affected me so much, because I know that I was not responsible for what happened to me. I was just a child, and a child that was taken advantage of. But I'm not going to talk about that for now. So in my 20s, Chomi, we will start on with my love life. I met a guy that was supposed to love me. And yeah, he did not. And I didn't know anything about relationships. I've never had a high school sweetheart like most of y'all have. So everything was just foreign and new to me. And well, I thought, okay, this is love. So I moved to Joburg. And when I moved to Joburg, I came to Joburg because I wanted to pursue my acting career and music career. Because I used to think at the time that I was Brenda Fassie, but it didn't work out. And at the same time, I was at school here. Yeah, that was my varsity level. I dropped out of school, Chomi, because the first thing I did was I opened a restaurant and I met a Nigerian guy that I dated, and I couldn't juggle between school and the love life and being a girlfriend and a semi wife or an acting wife or acting wife. So I had to drop out of school. I had to drop out of varsity because of that man. Did he say I should drop out of school? No, he did not. But when the dynamics of the relationship were not allowing for me to stay in school, I had to play wife. So I had to drop out of school. And so that was me being introduced to the streets. That was now me being introduced to the life of hustling. That was me being introduced to being a wife. I met this person, we date. I don't even know if we dated, but yeah, we stayed together with this person, and so much happened. The relationship was very chaotic. But I don't want to talk much about the relationship, but I'm going to talk about the things that were happening in the relationship and around me. And Chomi, I opened a restaurant in Randburg. It used to be Club La Roca. I was making money and I was not making money. I had money, was not making money. So I spent my money in that club, like the savings. I was saving money from a very young age, actually. I remember I used to do hair, I used to do people's hairs even in school. After school, my mom didn't even know that I was working at a salon because I loved money and I loved the idea of me making my own money. So I had saved some money for myself. So even when I came here to varsity, I would ask money from my parents and my mom would send me money. So I had money. So yes, and when I got to Joburg, I was doing waitressing jobs there, and they were paying good because I think people liked me. So I was making enough on tips. So I started dating this guy. opened that restaurant that turned into a club forward slash strip club as well. It was like everything. Um, I think that phase of my life introduced me to chaos. Yeah, it introduced me to chaos because that's when I was surrounded by, I made friends, or because of the club, I had friends who were celebrities. I was in that circle of friends who were who were using substances. And did I try using substances? Yes, I did. I tried using substances, but for me, I didn't like the feeling that it was giving me. I tried for the first time, and I think the first person that offered me substances was this other lady who was friends to my friend. Um, it was coke, benzene, weed, obviously, and rock. I don't know what rock is called, but I know it was rock, or yeah, cat, something like that. I tried them, but for me, they were not giving me the type of high that I like. But in the midst of that, I was obviously buying for my friends because now there was money. I used to buy for my friends. And while in that, because I was spending my 20 with people who were always up and down and smoking and always high and all that, I sinked into alcohol. So I also abused alcohol a lot. And alcohol was my comfort. I was over drinking. And I would say I was addicted to alcohol. Yeah. I abused alcohol. So, okay, life went by in those 20s. Now I'm being abused by this man. This man would beat me up, and something happened. And what happened was me having a child. And the child happened. And now that was just downhill for me, Because I mean, imagine having a child and you don't even know who you are. You know, I was just living life because I had to live. I was just breathing because I was already in existence. Yeah, I went into a depression mode. I don't know if I want to talk about that phase with. I think the only reason why I'm not going to talk about that phase of the child is because I don't want my child to watch this and find out certain things on here. I'm planning to go have a conversation with my child about everything that happened. And I believe that you guys will read about that in the book after I've had a conversation with my child and take the child through counseling. So please forgive me. I'm going to skip that part. Okay. So, yeah, the child was now in the picture, and the child was fatherless. I'll leave it at that. And I was just messing up my life. I was just literally drinking my life away. And drinking my life away, I encountered abuse. I don't want to go into that again. I encountered abuse, and it was not the first time. So there was really nothing new with me being abused. I don't want to get into that. Like I said, I don't want to get into the childhood stuff. I will talk about that in the book as well once I've spoken to my family, especially my child. So please forgive me. I'm going to skip that part. But I believe that moving forward, there's nothing that we're going to skip. Those are just the sensitive ones that I want to skip. So, Chomi, I was literally drinking my life away. And I remember I called my mom and I said, yo, I'm tired. And I said, I just want to come back home. And my mom was like, okay, I'm going to send someone to come fetch you. And they did that. She sent someone to come fetch me. And I was home. I stayed home, trying to raise a child. And, things were not good because I was the worst mother ever. That is when I was diagnosed with depression, and the projection towards the child was crazy. There were so many times where I wanted to hit the child. There were so many times where I wanted to get rid of the child. And I just feel like I was not supposed to have had that child. I just feel like I put myself through so much, because you guys will understand later why I said there was no need for me to keep that pregnancy. But I don't know what made me keep it, but I kept it. Fast forward into everything, 2009, that's when I gave birth. 2010, during the World Cup, I went back home, stayed home. I was just going through depression, and 2011, I met my ex-husband. How was life with him? Life with him was, it looked okay at the beginning, but it was never okay. It was never healthy. I went through the worst kind of abuse. Um, oh, and I loved him. I loved him. 2009, I was 21. 2010, I was 22. 2011, I was 23. So you guys can imagine. Oh, I would die for him. I thought he was my alpha and omega, and I could not imagine myself without him. And I went through the most. I remember when I met him, because he's quite a, when you first meet him, he's a good person and he's sweet. He is a good person and he's sweet. No one is perfect. I'll take that. I opened myself up so much to him, with the things that happened to me and the things that I had not opened up to anyone. And they were used against me. When we had misunderstandings, he would, like, I remember the one time he even said to my mom, "Oh, I was drunk and then I was driving and I hit my mom's car. I was involved in a car accident with my mom's car. That is the first accident, that a minor accident, but yeah, the car was beyond repair, but I survived." And I don't remember what happened, or him and I had a conflict, and he just said, "Oh yeah, Kamo is saying things about you like you're not a good parent," and he'd just throw things around like that is why you got raped, and yeah, that. I didn't even mean to say that, but he would say such things, oh, he had me. So he would abuse me, like physical abuse, emotional abuse, and I loved the guy, Even as to when our marriage started sinking, I still loved him. I think I tried taking my own life like twice or three times, because I didn't see myself living without him. Even when I knew that his family didn't want me, but I still, I was still trying to fight for the relationship. Um, yeah. And part of that marriage was me losing his younger brother that I loved so much. And Chomi, I promise you, I spent my 20s in grief. Um, it was just loads and loads and loads of grief. It was loads and loads and loads of trauma that I struggled to function till today. At the age of 37, I don't know. I don't. I know who I am, but I don't really know who I am. If it makes sense, I wish I would have had an experience of myself before all these things happened. But unfortunately, I don't have an experience of me like that. All I have is an experience of a girl that is a victim of, or a girl that has been sexually violated, not once, not twice, not three times, but four times. I wish God could like grant me a chance to know how I would have turned out to be if I didn't experience that. And I wish God would grant me a chance to know Ukemo, that is just a girl that is in her decency. Unfortunately, I would never meet that Kamo. And that is how I spend my 20s, in pain, in trauma, the things that happened in my 20s are me. I lost my childhood best friend. I lost my best friend that I met when I was in Joburg. My first best friend that I lost, Nunuze, was my childhood friend. May her soul rest in peace. I lost my other friend, Jason, that died and lost it due to cancer, who was my bestie. And I think the reason why I was so attached to Jason was he's the first person that, besides men, that made me believe in myself. And he used to say, "Oh, you're so beautiful," even at the time when I didn't see that beauty that he was talking about. I remember he used to say, "Oh, Chami, you have such a beautiful nose. Oh, you have such beautiful lips. Oh, you have such beautiful eyes." And I was like, what is he seeing that I'm not seeing? And oh yeah, he introduced me to love, and he was just my friend and like a brother to me. Fast forward into everything, I was now living my life recklessly. In those 20s, that's when I dated a married man, and I didn't even know what I was doing. And when I dated that married man, I just wanted out of my marriage, because that marriage was just destroying me, yeah. And I was doing well. To me, I was doing well. I had a job. I had a job and I was making money, and I had businesses. I was making money. Things were going well for me. And the biggest one that happened for me in my 20s was the gambling. Um, when the gambling started to me, it felt so good. It was so comfortable that it comforted me. When I was inside the casino, oh, I could not think about anything else. So I centered my life around gambling, and not even being aware that I was creating a bigger mess for myself, right? I'm not going to go into gambling, but I'm just going to highlight for those of you that were not able to watch my interview with Ed Boldly Owami. Gambling turned me into a monster. That part of my 20s, we're talking about from the age of 24, when I started gambling, to the age of 29. I didn't stop at the age of 29, but we're talking about my 20s, right? So gambling was my life. I spent my 20s, I gambled my 20s away. I started gambling, I went back to alcohol again, and in that gave away my womb. And before that, my womb has been stretched 6 times. When I say to you guys that I want you to be selfish about your womb, I want you to be selfish about who you give yourself to. My womb has been stretched 6 times. It didn't have to go through all that. And when I'm saying, I think you guys will understand what I mean by saying that my womb has been stretched 6 times. And yeah. Um I wish I was a bit smarter. I wish someone would have told me that relax, you'll still get to 30 and you'll still find love. And I want you to learn, show me that you can never keep a man. You can never tie a man with a child. I want you to change that. If that's how you think, you can never tie someone who does not want to be tied. You can never. My womb has been stretched 6 times, and I have 3 surviving kids that are alive. Um, I know you guys know about the two, and then about the other one, you guys will find out about the other one when I'm ready to talk about the other one. But that one is alive as well, so 3 is alive. And the 3 is not alive. Um, I spent my life, the 24 years, gambling my life away and taking care of men. You see, when I left my marriage, I became, yeah, I don't know if you use the word, I don't think I was a home wrecker, but you can use that word. I was dating married men. I was so angry. I was so bitter because I felt like I did not deserve to lose that marriage because I didn't want to end up like my mom. That is why I always tell you guys, don't allow yourself to be burdened. Don't allow yourself to go through, trying to fight generational curses. Don't try that because you are only going to exhaust yourself. And that's what I did. I exhausted myself. I wish I would have been kinder to me. I wish I would have given myself grace, but I failed. And I spent my 20s self-harming. Self-harming was me physically hurting myself. I have scars on my body where I would literally hurt myself. It's either with needles or anything, or scratch myself with a razor, anything. That is how I spent my 20s, in tears and drowning and depressed. So when gambling came along, it literally just finished me off. Because I was so lost, I swear to God, I don't think I know who I am. I don't really think I know who I am. Like, I'm always trying to understand who I am, you know? Because I'm defined by so many things. I'm just defined by so many things. And amongst those things is just pain. Like, it's pain, and misery. That's how I spend my 20s. In pain and misery and just being self-sabotage, just being stuck, just crying my 20s away, just sleeping my 20s away. And so yes, I lost the money, and when I lost the money, the one thing that haunts me today is the things that I found myself doing because of my gambling addiction. And Tommy, I don't want you to be like me. I don't want you to end up like me. I destroyed my life so much. Whew. I destroyed my life. That is why now in my 30s, I'm paying the price. That is now in my 30s. I'm having it hard. And the crazy thing is that even in my 30s, as hard as I worked, and some people look at me and feel like, oh, but you're doing well, there's money. What's the point of having money when you're having sleepless nights? The things I did in my 20s, I feel like I was supposed to have taken control and charge of my emotions, you know. There was someone that violated me in Joburg. I wish I would have done better with that situation. But some of the things, these are some of the things I did in my 20s. I was part of maybe me projecting, and part of my trauma was how much I wanted to fight everyone and get rid of every single person that hurt me. You know, my mission was to go after every single person that hurt. That is what I wanted to do. Go after every single person that violated me, you know. And I think that it destroyed me so much. It took so much away from me, trying to retaliate, trying to make everyone pay. It deprived me from so much. And I remember, I'm not going to go deep into that, but I remember the first time when I attacked the guy that when I attacked that guy. The only thing I asked him, I asked him, I said, why did you do what you did to me? Because I needed answers. I wanted this person to tell me what it is that he was seeing in me, that would make him want to hurt me or come onto me like that. Even before he could, he just said, I'm sorry. And I stabbed him so hard. I stabbed him, you know. It was in that moment I realized that I can't continue like this, you know. It was in that moment I knew that I needed help. It was in that moment I realized just how much I'm so consumed by pain and trauma. To me, I want you to learn that don't allow pain to consume you, to me. No matter what happens to you, be kind to yourself and be kind to those that hurt you. I spent my 20s trying to learn how to forgive those that hurt me and violated me. But it's been hard, the pain is too much. I wasted my 20s and I wasted my life. I didn't know what I was doing, you know. I feel like I blacked out of life, or I zoned out at the age of 20. Everything else that was happening after 20, I don't know what it was. And I think that when I went into gambling, the bulb just went off. That bulb went off on me, and it was just darkness.
told me it was okay if I spent my 20s without hurting other people. But for years, from the age of 24, I hurt my mom so bad. I've okay, okay, okay. I was so angry with my I was so angry with her for so many things. But now I look at it and I'm like, I shouldn't have spent, I shouldn't have allowed myself. Because to me, see, once you allow yourself to lose your spark, I allowed myself to lose my spark and oh, I drowned. I allowed pain to consume me so much. And oh boy, it did. Spend my 20s drinking, committing crimes, and I got away with a lot of crimes. And if there's anyone that's ever gonna watch this and recognize me or know who I am, I hope you find it in your heart to forgive me. And to that guy that violated me and I stabbed him, I know that you are no more. And I believe we're both just young and lost. And the devil used you, and he used me the same way he used you. May your soul rest in peace. And I want you to know that I forgive you. I don't think that it was about you. I think it's the curse that I carry, you know, and you were also just young. I mean, you are not the first person to do what you did to me. And so I forgave you. And the only reason why I'm talking about you in particular is because you are the person that I also had, you know, and when I was going after this person, Chomi, I just felt like the only way for me to feel better was to hurt him. But in that process, I really blacked out, you know, and before you know it, there was just blood. And when he said, I could just remember him saying, please help me, please don't kill me, you know. Even when he was at the hospital, I wanted to go, but I was not allowed to go, obviously, because at the time, cops were looking for me. And in that, with that part, I would leave it there. This is me just sharing with you, Chomi, some of the things going through memory lane of how my 20s were spent. And oh, my 20s. Sometimes I don't understand why life was not so kind to me. I'm a kind person. And so to me, I wish life would have been a bit kinder because I know that I'm a good person.
and I know that I have a beautiful heart. And I wish I didn't allow life lessons or my experiences to turn me into a horrible person. So, fast forward from the age of 24 into 29, I was still gambling, and I lost the first million, the second million, the third million, fourth, you name it. And I lost my properties. And in all that, it was okay if I lost all my money into gambling. But I also started stealing from my mother, and some of the things I did was I sold one of my mom's house fraudulently just to feed my gambling addiction. And I that is literally just how I spent the remaining of my 20s, gambling, drinking, and that is how I went bankrupt and depressed. And I sold everything. And when I said in one of the episodes that spend your credit or use your credit wisely, and when I said to you guys that I have a fraud listing, um, all those things are a result of the type of person that I had become, and I planned to take my life. I planned to take my family's life. And so I planned that for a very long time. That for me, I knew that there was nothing left for me. You know, I knew that there was really just nothing left for me because I was bankrupt. There's no house, there's no car, there's no money, there's no job. You are blacklisted, you have a fraud listing, you have people that are looking for you, you owe people, I've literally just I was something else. And fast forward to that, that's just what has been happening in my 20s, just spending my 20s like that. And obviously, like I said, I left my marriage years down the line, and then I was just dating all these married men. Not just all married men, but I was just dating guys. And if I tell you guys that I was so desperate for love to a point whereby I dated someone who was in prison. Yeah, I dated someone that was on trial in prison. I was taking care of this person financially. That was my desperation for love. I spent money on him, taking care of him. Oh, this man lived like a prince in prison. He lived like a king in prison. I was taking care of him because I needed validation. The only thing that I needed in my life was validation and to feel loved. And I've never really felt love in my marriage. I don't think my husband loved me like that. You know, yeah, the marriage was empty, and I would always lose myself in relationships. And how I'd lose myself in my relationships is I overlove and I overgive. So some of the things that were done in my 20s were spent on me loving men, and taking care of them, and giving them more than I could even give to anyone, not even myself. So sometimes even when I feel like my finances were resurfacing, or oh, now I feel like I'm getting back on my feet, I would meet a guy that would masquerade and pretend like they love me, and then I show up for them, and then it was just me loving them, pouring into everyone else but not me. um It didn't happen with one guy. Two, I think it happened. I mean, even with the married guy that I was dating, if I tell you guys, I was so stupid. I was literally taking care of him. And you need to understand that taking care of a married man is you taking care of his wife and kids, right? Taking care of a married man and being financially supportive to a married man is you taking care of the wife, So that is why I started my 20s diaries to say to you, please don't be like me. I don't want you to end up like me. And I want you to love yourself because I believe that if I loved myself better, I would have known my worth and I wouldn't have given myself out like that. You know, um, I wish I would have been kinder to myself. I wish I would have waited, you know, I wish I would have waited for my 30s for at least to get to 30 to allow myself to love and to allow myself to meet someone that would love me and love me for who I am, not love me for what I have or what I had, right? That is why I started my 20s series because I wanted you guys and I want you guys to learn from me. When I said be stingy with your womb, I meant be stingy with your womb because once you stretch it, it's never going to go back, if you understand what I'm trying to say. And you've got to be selfish. Tommy, we're not going to change the fact that we come from toxic families. We're not going to change that. We're not going to change the fact that we come from broken backgrounds, but we somehow have to choose the type of people that we become. Your 20s, Chomi, are your foundation into womanhood, into manhood. Build, set a standard. You're just not going to live your life giving birth and making babies. You're just not going to live your life being dependent on a man and not creating a foundation or a legacy for yourself. You're not going to spend, life does not only revolve around clubs, life does not only revolve around drugs and alcohol. You're not going to spend your 20s like that because trust me, it's going to catch up with you. I told you guys that now I'm 37 years old and I'm dealing with a case that resurfaced because of the first interview that we did with OAM. It went viral and they were looking for me and I ran to Joburg. The case resurfaced. So when I said there are certain things that you are not going to be able to run away from, you cannot run away. You can't run forever. You might run, but you won't hide. And whatever that you do in your 20s, Chomi, it's definitely going to catch up with you in your 30s. That is exactly what is happening to me. I'm dealing with cases of things I did in my 20s, but now I'm facing them in my 30s. I am paying the price of a 20-year-old girl at the age of 37, but I have to face the music. I have to avail myself to deal with the repercussions of my younger self. So when I tell you guys that you have to think smart, be smart, make smart moves. Don't rush yourself into anything. Don't allow anyone to rush you into anything. There's no shortcut in life. One way or the other is going to catch up with you. It's catching up with me just when I feel like I'm comfortable and I'm doing well and I now understand who I am and I now love myself and I now know not to sell myself short. You need to build a relationship with God. You need to build yourself as a woman. You can never even love anyone if you don't love yourself. Pour into yourself first. Water yourself before you think of watering anyone, or else you're just going to be a toxic person. Even with my failed relationships, I was not perfect. I was also toxic. I was also very toxic. I was a toxic human being. You're not going to be a woman and want to be masculine and you want to control men and you want to behave like you're a man because you think you have life figured out. It's even worse if you're in your 20s, you know nothing about life. You know nothing about what life has to offer. So Chomi, do not waste your 20s. Take it from me. If you have to look at me and say to someone that she was once worth 20 million, she was once worth 10 million, and they look at me, I don't even look like it. I might not look broke, but I don't look like I used to have all the things that I used to have. You need to know who you are so you know what you are and what you want to be for tomorrow. Some of you are like, oh, me, I want to get married. What do you know at the age of 20? What do you know? What do you have to offer at the age of 20? So, Chomi, I want you to change your mindset. I want you to change how you think, and I want you to change how you do things. Do not even allow social media pressure to get into you, because you are going to find yourself doing things that you're not supposed to be doing. You're going to find yourself going around sleeping from one house to the other. You're going to go find yourself committing things that you're not even supposed to be committing because of your thirst for success. Success does not come overnight. You build success. So use your 20s wisely so that by the time you get to my age, or when you get to 30, you look back and you're proud of yourself. Having a child at a young age is not a flex. Chomi, I'm going to tell you something now. I'm 37 years old. And when I go on date, okay, now I don't go on dates because I have someone, but if I go on a date, and when a guy asks me, how many kids do you have? I promise you, I would shed a tear. I got to a point where I hated that question. Like, why would you ask me how many questions I have? And it's not even a bad thing. He wants to know. He wants to know how many kids do you have. It's not a bad thing. It's not supposed to get to you. But if you don't respect your womb, if you are not selfish with your womb, you'll get to that point where you are angry with questions that are not even malicious. That is why a lot of you get mad when men ask you what your body count is. They are uncomfortable questions because you are not spending your 20s wisely. And Chomi, the reason why some of you feel like, oh, you've already failed at the age of 22, there's nothing other than men. You failed because you are heartbroken from a man. You feel that you failed because of pressure from home. I'm not going to blame you for that. But I just want you guys to look at life differently. I want you guys to see things differently. You need to take yourself serious. You need to take yourself serious. And you're not going to say, oh, I know my worth. What is your worth if you're not building yourself? What is your worth if you're not working towards building your empire and building a legacy? Your worth is not words. So I want you guys to, when you make decisions, be intentional. When you plan your life, Chomi, be intentional about how you spend your life and who you are spending your life with. Or else when it catches up with you, when it comes back to you, Chomi, trust me, karma never hits. Karma never misses. It does not miss. Karma will locate you just when you feel like you have everything under control. And so that is how I wasted my 20s. I wasted my 20s in grief. I wasted my 20s mourning. I wasted my 20s with bad decisions. I wasted my 20s crying for things that I could not change. You're not going to change the fact that you are violated. You're not going to change the fact that that marriage didn't work out. You've got to build yourself so that even when that marriage doesn't work out, it is not your identity. Don't attach your identity to anything. Don't attach it to marriage. You are not your marriage. Build yourself so that whoever that comes and leaves, they will still leave you standing. At the age of 20, at the age of 21, you're not supposed to be depressed because of a relationship. You're supposed to be depressed because of school and hustle. You've got to hustle and make money. Don't be comfortable in poverty, Chomi. Don't be comfortable in struggling and say, oh, I have a child and I'll raise this child by the grace of God. The grace of God is not going to feed that child, unfortunately. Yes, we love God. Yes, we believe in God. Yes, we are nothing without God, but you somehow have to meet him halfway. Unfortunately for me, when I realized that I needed change, it was somehow already too late. And this is my way of giving back. This is my way of trying to rectify the things that I've done wrong in my 20s. And if there's one thing I wish for is to have my 20s back, but we know that's not going to happen. We know that it's not about to come, but this 20s series is a dedication to me and to my daughter. And I'm saying my daughter because I'm raising a girl child and I don't want my daughter to go through the things that I went through. And I always say to God, if I have to go through it again, please bring it on for as long as my daughter doesn't have to go through it. So we are just going to recap. I said, Chomi, if you are in your 20s, don't waste your 20s just like I wasted my 20s. There's no shortcut. Allow yourself to go through life with every step. You're not going to go from step 1 to step 10. Or else the 2 up to 9 is going to catch up with you in your 30s. Your 20s are your foundation. Plan them very well. Be intentional about how you live in your life. There's nothing in the streets. And that's one thing that you guys are missing. There's absolutely nothing in the streets. There's nothing in the streets. Chomi, go back to school. You will need it. Take care of your credit record. You will need it. Imagine being 37 years old and you make money, but simple thing you cannot afford. You cannot afford to rent out an apartment. I think I mentioned in one of the videos that I had to put like 3 months deposit for me to be able to get an apartment. My life has become so expensive. Yes, there's an income. If I show you guys my statement, there's an income. I'm making money. I'm doing well. But I cannot afford like basic stuff because I messed myself up. I have a fraud listing in my name. It's not going away. So when I tell you guys that I'm dealing with my 20s at the age of 37, you guys would not understand. So Chomi, I want you to use this and reset. You've got to have a plan about your life. You need to set your priorities straight. Set your priorities straight. But more than anything, I want you to put yourself first. Be selfish, Chomi. You're not doing it for your mother. You're not doing it for your father. And you're not going to allow them to burden you. You're not going to allow them to live through you, because once you allow your mom to live through you, you are going to be exhausted and you're not going to succeed or excel in anything. So that is why I said I want us to change how we do things and how we think. Plan your life. Set a target for yourself and said, okay, I'm 21, I've just graduated. This is what I want to do. Let me start selling something at least to make this much. And then from this much, that's how I built my life. Okay, I'm going to make this much. And then from this much, I'm going to invest this money in this tender. From this tender, if this tender pays out, I want to invest in this business. That's how I built my life. I don't have it all figured out, but I'm in a much better space. I'm no longer that 21-year-old girl, 29-year who makes selfish and stupid decisions. No, I don't do that. And Chomi, we've come to the end of our 20 series. And with everything that I said, I will allow you guys to ask me questions. If you want to ask me anything, or you want to learn everything, or you want me to narrate anything, please do send me a DM on Instagram. The second time that you guys see me here, I'll have a number for you guys and an email address where you guys can contact me. And the second video that we're going to have, it will just be me answering your questions. Then moving forward, we will interview women or men that would come and say how I spend my 20s. From me, Miss Kamo, it is all love and positivity. Please do be kind. And remember to be kind to those who are kind to you. Chomi, kindness heals the world. Take care and don't forget to pray. We out.